things out by then, but that was the largest super spreader event. Florida, incidentally, Jake, has accounted for the most cases overall, but that was the largest super spreader event in Massachusetts. What works? The things that we've learned, certainly over time since then, when you look at these significant rates of increase at a hyper-local level, like in Arizona, for example, you find that as the numbers went up in those places, when you started to put in these public health measures, like people, at least a mandate of masks for a period of time, no public gatherings, creating physical distancing, you could actually bend the curve down fairly quickly within a few weeks. That's the thing. All the discussion about the vaccine, it is important, it is powerful, but it's going to take a while. Masks are surgical in how quick they can work, and we've seen that over and over again.
And Sanjay, quickly, if you could, at least 200 hospitals in the U.S. are completely full. 1/3 of all hospitals are at 90% capacity. Should people be avoiding hospitals at this point?
Not yet, Jake. I mean, we've been talking. It obviously depends a little bit on where you live, but I think for people who have certainly emergent or urgent issues, they should still be going to the hospital. Telehealth is a great option for other things. I mean, telehealth has really grown over these last 9 months. Set up telehealth sort of communications now if you haven't done so already. That can help take care of a lot of visits. But the various medical organizations are not advising people to skip going to the hospital, certainly for urgent or emergent things at this point.
Okay, we're not there yet. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, thanks so much. Have a good weekend. President-elect Biden trying to put out a potential fire that the Trump White House started just minutes before he took the stage. Stay with us.
With surprisingly great rates, State Farm is the real deal when it comes to home and car insurance. State Farm agents are always ready to help personalize your insurance plan so you can create a policy that fits your needs. You can manage your coverage, pay your bill, or even file a claim right from your phone with the State Farm mobile app. And you can always call one of the State Farm agents in neighborhoods across the country. Get a rate without sacrificing great service. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Topping today's 2020 lead, President-elect Joe Biden introduced another round of cabinet and cabinet-level nominees and top administration roles. As Jeff Zeleny reports, Biden kicked off the event by stressing the political independence of the COVID-19 vaccine.
As tough as things are now, I firmly believe better days are ahead.
President-elect Joe Biden heralding the vaccine for COVID-19 as a bright light during a time of dark sorrow, and said politics should be set aside to guide America through the coronavirus crisis. He reassured the nation the vaccine was scientifically sound, soon to be fully authorized.
We're just as grateful to the scientists and the public experts who evaluated its safety and efficiency, free from political influence. I want to make it clear to the public. You should have confidence in this. There is no political influence.
40 days before taking office, Biden introducing another round of cabinet picks today, and once again turning to trusted allies with whom he has long relationships.
They bring deep experience and bold new thinking. Above all, they know how government should and can work for all Americans.
Biden now has settled on more than half of his cabinet, with several familiar faces from the Obama era. The latest wave, former Obama Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough as VA Secretary, former Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack coming back for the same role, and UN Ambassador Susan Rice to lead the Domestic Policy Council. But many are in new roles, like Catherine Tai, the new U.S. Trade Representative.
Trade is like any other tool in our domestic or foreign policy. It is not an end in itself. It is a means to create more hope and opportunity for people.
Ohio Congresswoman Marcia Fudge is one of the new additions, nominated today as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
We will help people believe once again that their government cares about them, no matter who they are.
Yet some of these flashbacks are stirring criticism from various corners of the Democratic Party, particularly from progressives. Biden is not feeling defensive over his selections, aides insist, saying they are experienced, crisis-tested, and diverse. One top Biden ally telling CNN, are familiar faces so bad after the last 4 years? Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris also being named as the Time Magazine Person of the Year, a nod at her historic rise as the first woman to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. It's the first time a Vice President-elect has been chosen. Now, Biden has not said when he plans to take the vaccine. He was asked that directly today, Jake, and he did not answer. His aides say they're going to wait and see how this authorization proceeds over the weekend, but he could take it as early as next week. Meanwhile, the president-elect was asked for the first time about Hunter Biden and that federal investigation. He did not comment, simply saying, "I'm proud of my son." Jake?
All right, Jeff Zeleny, thanks so much. Millions of Americans are frankly on the brink.
I need help. It's the first time I've said it.
We're going to talk to the head of one food bank who says they're nowhere close to meeting the intense demand. Stay with us. Breaking news on our money lead. The U.S. Senate has approved a one-week stopgap spending bill, averting a government shutdown for now and giving Congress additional time to end this months-long stalemate over much-needed pandemic relief for the American people. Stimulus talks, however, are stalled, and there remain major sticking points. CNN's Manu Raju is on Capitol Hill. Manu, the American people are desperate. Where do negotiations stand right now?
Well, unfortunately, they are still stuck, and it's uncertain whether or not there will be a deal that we reach. Next week has now become the pivotal week. The Senate and the House are gone until Monday. Key negotiators in a Senate group who have been trying to come up with a $908 billion deal have not been able to do so because they are stuck on two key sticking points. One, for state and local aid, money that Democrats say is desperately needed. Republicans argue that they want liability protections for businesses and other entities that could be hit by a wave of lawsuits during the pandemic. But that liability protection language has not yet been agreed to, and it's threatening to tank the entire proposal. Now, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, has suggested moving forward with a narrow package absent those two sticking points. Democrats, however, are still pressing for that state and local money. But, Jake, the Democratic leaders have not yet sat down with Mitch McConnell to discuss what they can ultimately agree on to pass, and ultimately it will be their decision. Now, what is expected next week is some of those key decisions to be made and what can actually be incorporated in a bill that would keep the government open past next Friday. But with the two sides that loggerheads about the size and scope of the provisions, it's uncertain what ultimately will be decided, whether it will be an extension of jobless benefits, whether it will be more small business loans, or whether it will be money that is needed for the vaccine distribution for COVID-19. All of those are on the table right now, but will they actually get it through? Will we be back here next Friday when the next deadline comes on, and will they still be stuck? Uncertain at this point as so many people wait for action, Jake.
All right, Manu Raju, thank you so much. Appreciate it. 12 million Americans could lose crucial unemployment benefits just after Christmas unless Congress acts. I want you to hear from just one of these people, Angela Kearney, a mother of 5. She was furloughed from her job as a paralegal in March. She's been unable to find another job during these very difficult economic times.
I promised them we would get a house. I promised them that they would be normal children, and then the pandemic hit. And I can't keep those promises anymore. I have to take the bills and throw them up and pick the ones and hope that they total the amount that I have.
It's a widespread problem. This was the scene yesterday at one Los Angeles food bank. They had food prepared to give away to 1,800 families in need in just one day. I'm joined now by Derek Chubbs. He's president and CEO of the Central Texas Food Bank. Mr. Chubbs, you've been working to meet the increasing need caused by the pandemic. Tell us what you're seeing there on the front lines.
And thank you, Jake, for the opportunity to be here. What we're seeing is unprecedented demand, particularly now during the holidays. Prior to COVID, here in Central Texas, we were distributing food to approximately 200,000 on a monthly basis. Since COVID, during the month of November, we were very close to 400,000. So that's an almost 100% increase post-COVID. The numbers just keep climbing, and during this holiday season, we expect them to climb even more in the January, February months to come.
And according to the latest census data, nearly 26 million adults reported not having enough food to eat as of mid-November. Is it getting worse as we head into the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas?
Well, from a food bank perspective, Jake, the holiday seasons were typically major distribution periods for us anyway. As we know, as a culture, food is around so much. We have food around so much in our discussions during the holiday season, but you take that and you put the pandemic on top of it, and we're finding some really challenging times. And these are families, so many of them are coming to us for the first time. We're hearing families who are telling us now that they are in positions where they have to sell personal items just to make ends meet. And they're coming to us so we can at least provide them with the food that they need during this season.
2 weeks ago here on CNN, you estimated that you were about 30% short of meeting demand. How are you doing now? Can you meet demand?
We're still running about 30% short of that demand. And as the number keeps growing, I think in September we were at 297,000, 343,000 in October, and over 380,000 in November, and we haven't closed the numbers yet. My hope is that we are doing everything that we can do to scale. We're doing more distributions. We're talking to our partner agencies to see if they can increase their capacity, and we will continue to provide food for as long as we can, as much as we can. I think our largest challenge at this juncture is how we change or shift our distribution models or our infrastructure in order to adjust to this new environment that we're facing.
And you've put out calls for more volunteers. The cost of food, I should note, is rising. What do you need right now? How can people help?
What we need and what food banks need across our 200 food bank network for Feeding America, we need monetary donations. I'll use the Central Texas Food Bank as an example. Pre-COVID, we would spend about $100,000 a month purchasing food. Based on the new demand, based on the increased cost for food, based on increased cost for transporting that food, we're spending 10x now, as in $1 million a month just to purchase food. So in order to continue to meet this demand that is not going anyplace anytime soon, monetary donations would be very valuable. Additionally, we still need volunteers. We're having to do additional shifts in order to maintain social distancing to minimize risk. And the more volunteers we have, I think the better off we are. This isn't going to change anytime soon.
Where should people go? Is there a website people can go to make donations?
For the Central Texas Food Bank, centraltexasfoodbank.org, you can go and make a donation right there. If you're not in the Austin area, feedingamerica.org will also help you find where your local food bank is.
Feedingamerica.org.
Right now.
Feedingamerica.org. All right. Mr. Chubbs, thank you so much for the work you do. Stay in touch. We want to keep on top of this story.
Thank you, Jake.
We want to take some time now to remember some of the lives lost to coronavirus. Today we're going to remember Rich Martin. He was a therapy dog handler from Illinois. He devoted his life to making others feel love and comfort in their times of need. He traveled the country on behalf of Lutheran church charities with his wife and their golden retriever comfort dogs during some of our nation's greatest tragedies, including the Boston Marathon bombing, the Sandy Hook shooting, the Pulse nightclub shooting, the El Paso shooting. He did this in an effort to provide victims a moment of joy and happiness and comfort during these very dark days they went through. Rich was 68 years old. He passed away after a nearly 2-week battle with COVID. He's survived by his wife, his daughter, and of course his beloved comfort dog, Ruthie. May his memory and the memories of all the victims in this horrific pandemic be a blessing. Be sure to tune in to CNN State of the Union this Sunday morning. I'm going to speak to FDA Commissioner Stephen Hahn. I have exclusive interviews with both Bill Gates and former Vice President Al Gore, as well as Republican Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy and Democrat Stacey Abrams from Georgia. It's all at 9 a.m. and noon Eastern on Sunday. Our coverage on CNN continues right now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you Sunday morning.